Hey everyone, today I am sharing another scrapbook video. This is only my second time scrapbooking in years, so I've got these papers picked out, and like I said on my previous one, I have printed out a ton of pictures from my South Africa trip in 2023. So I've got these two pictures for this first page. We arrived very late, and those were the first two pictures I ever took in Africa. So now I'm going to date myself big time because I didn't have anything big enough to cut out a large oval except these really old Creative Memories cutting tools. I don't even know what you guys use for that nowadays, probably some digital machine that I very well may need to invest in. I wanted that large oval for some journaling, so I was just trying to decide how much of the other colored paper I wanted on there. So you'll see that I am going to play around for a while with different sizing, kind of like tore some more paper there. Thought I wanted maybe a bigger bit of that color. It always did take me some time back in the day to kind of get my creative juices flowing with scrapbooking, and being that I haven't done it in years, it has taken me a bit, but I am so glad that I'm actually doing it because I am documenting the trip that we took to South Africa, and that's important to me. So even though I did feel a little intimidated getting started again because so many things have changed, I am very happy that I am actually doing it. So I am journaling here about how we left our house in Kamloops, BC, Canada at 9 a.m. on March 2nd, and we had a layover in Calgary, then Amsterdam, and then to Cape Town. And after 28 hours of travel, we arrived at the airport just before 11 p.m. local time on March 3rd. And by the time we got our luggage, which one suitcase was lost and came the next day, by the time we got to our friend's house, it was around 12:30 a.m. on March 4th. So I had to take a picture of the room we were staying in and the view out our window. So now that I've got my journaling done and I'm pretty happy with how I want these papers, I am just using some double-sided tape and adhering these together. I did have to measure this bit a few times. I wanted to make sure that I attached that last piece of paper with enough room to cover the pictures, and then I kept moving it and having to stick the pictures on there again to measure, but I finally get it positioned and get it adhered down. So once this last strip of paper is in place, it is then time to layer things up onto the background paper that I chose and make sure I get my journaling placed in the right spot, and then stick it down with the double-sided tape, and then stick that paper down. And then I did go off screen and add a tiny little white matte layer behind each of those photos. So now I'm just sticking the pictures down in place. So now I'm pulling out the different things to use for decorating the page. And I have some stickers from Dollar Tree. And I have this uniquely creative die called Travel the World die. It has the word travel, and it has this globe that has Africa right there. So that's perfect for this scrapbook. So I cut those out with white cardstock, and I'm trying to position them. Wasn't quite happy with it, so I did pull out some metallic copper cardstock and die cut them again, just to see if that would stand out better. And also because the next page that I'm doing it beside it has a lot more brown in it. So I do kind of play around. I was wondering if I should kind of layer up the two travel dies, but I decided against that. I'm picking out a few stickers, some different tag stickers, and trying to figure out how I want everything to go. I will say I really am having fun creating this album. I know this is only the second page into it, but it really has got me excited about scrapbooking again, so that's fun. So I am going to bring in another die by Uniquely Creative, and this one is called Travel Marks die. And I went ahead and cut that out from the same metallic copper cardstock. And I am starting to actually stick some things down. The Travel Marks die has a little tiny plane that came out of it, so I did glue that kind of going towards Africa in that globe. And you'll see that I did go ahead with all of the copper dies and none of the white dies, so those are saved for a different page or another project, we'll see. Look at this. This page is actually done, and I quite like it. I like that it's got a bunch of journaling from our trip, from our our travel days there. Yay! And now on to the next page. So I did go ahead and trim some of these pictures down and kind of picked out the ones I wanted to use. My husband is drinking this coffee from 7th Psychopath Coffee, so had to get a picture of that. So I'm just picking out some different things to use on this page. I've got that gray paper for matte layer. I'm picking out some different ephemera bits and some tags. I don't use everything that I've pulled out here, but I do use some of them. I also have this little strip of embossed coffee cups here that is from the Sizzix Fresh Brewed die set that has a tiny embossing folder, and I had inked up some ground espresso on this paper and used it on a different project, but I had a few coffee cups left over, so I'm just fussy cutting those little coffee cups out to use on this page. And then I'm going to adhere this mask photo onto this dark gray cardstock, and I just wanted a really thin border. And then because the table that Mike is sitting at is that wood grain table, I wanted to use some of this wood grain paper here, and I wasn't quite sure how to layer it up, but I will play around with it a bit. I kind of liked having the picture of him like completely on that paper, but then it also kind of washed out the table a little bit. And these pictures are all from our first day in South Africa. We were staying in Gordons Bay, which is in the Cape Town area, and our friends took us on a little drive. So we drove past some of the townships, which I have a couple of those long skinny pictures there. And then we drove past a couple of vineyards. I didn't take any pictures this day of vineyards. And we went to this wonderful market called Route 44. That's where that mask is on the entrance to the market, and then that's where we stopped and had coffee and lunch. This market was really cool. It had lots of different varieties of food and drinks, and then it had also several different stands with like local artists selling pictures, paintings, prints, sculptures, wood carvings, all kinds of really cool stuff. And Mike and I love exploring all the different cultural things when we're in a new place, so it was a lot of fun. So you can probably see all of these pictures on here have kind of got me a little bit stumped because these were all pictures from the same day, and I like to be very chronological in my pictures and in my scrapbooking, and I was trying so hard to get all of these pictures to fit nicely on this page without it just looking weird, and it just was not working. I was moving cardstock, I was moving ephemera, I was moving the tags, and just trying all kinds of things. And eventually I ended up taking one of the pictures off of the page completely. I still have one more layout to do for this particular day of pictures, but that sunset picture at the end of the day does not make it onto this layout. And I'm not sure it's going to make it on the next one either with all of the theme of those pictures, but we'll see. If not, it'll probably go somewhere else. And I do have like many beautiful sunset pictures from South Africa, so there will be others. So I am much happier with this page not being quite as busy, and you'll see I did pull out a different color to go with that brown as well. So I'm just kind of positioning those. And then I will start actually adhering pictures onto this page. First one of Mike with the 7th Psychopath Coffee, and then Route 44 with the mask, and then the 2 township pictures. And I did leave a blank space there because I did also want to add some journaling about this day. So I'm bringing in a little pad of journaling pages that I believe are from Recollections. I've had them for years. And I chose one that had neutral colors, a few random colors on the outside edges, so I just trimmed those off. And that's where my journaling is going to go for this page. So I just went off screen and wrote on that little journaling page about our little day trip adventure there. And then I did go ahead with some ground espresso ink and just ink up the edges of the journaling page. And then I will stick it down with that little cluster and those other little coffee cups. And then once everything is stuck down, I am going to go ahead with that same ground espresso ink and just ink up all the edges of that large paper. I think it just kind of added a little bit to the page there. And this page is also done. So there we go. Part of our first day in Africa is now documented. So here are the 2 pages together. I think they turned out all right for my second time scrapbooking in years. But I am having fun with it, and I am excited to see our entire trip documented. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful day.